right, guys, so here's this Nearpod code. Go ahead and get on that Nearpod. Go to join.nearpod.com and type in that code. All right. So today we're talking about directly proportional relationships. Directly proportional relationships. So if you're going to title your notes today, that's what you can title it. The specific part we're looking at today is direct variation. So you can write both directly proportional relationships and underneath that direct variation. All right. So what is a directly proportional relationship? So a directly proportional relationship is where as one amount increases or decreases, the other amount increases or decreases at the exact same rate. So for a proportional relationship, there is a constant rate between the variables x and y. So for a directly proportional relationship, as one amount increases, the other increases at the exact same rate. So, and then the proportion between y and x are the same. So for example, on the table below, if I was looking at the relationship between x and y, x, if I multiply x by 2.5, it would give me 5. If I multiply this x by 2.5, it would give me 10. And if I multiply 8 by 2.5, it would give me 20. This tells me that this is proportional because there's a constant rate between the variables x and y. And that constant rate would be 2.5. That the proportional relationship is that this is increasing by 2.5 each time. So a proportional relationship, what I would do is make sure I have this definition written down. That the proportion between y and x are the same for all inputs and outputs. So if I set up proportions, 5 over 2 would be 2.5, 10 over 4 would be 2.5, 20 over 8 would be 2.5. So they all would have the same proportion. That's what makes them proportional. So this is not the first time you've seen this. You've actually used proportional relationships last year in 7th grade, okay? And we're gonna go more in depth with the proportional side and graphs and tables next class. Today, we're really looking at how do x and y relate to each other if I set up proportions. So let's look at, if something is directly proportional, it is said to have the equation y equals kx. This part is what should look familiar from the previous year. Y equals kx is how y'all wrote equations. In the equation y equals kx, k stands for the constant of proportionality. In y equals kx, k stands for the constant of proportionality. Basically, all that means is rate of change or slope. Basically, k is your slope. Why they use so many different letters for basically the same thing, I have no clue. This is basically saying y equals mx. That's what that's basically saying. So k represents the slope, but k is called the constant of proportionality. If you notice, if this did say y equals mx, what's missing is the plus b. That's because if something is proportional, the y-intercept is 0. If something is proportional, the y-intercept is 0. So this is extremely important information to know, but not necessarily for today's class. This will be more for next class. For today's class, we're looking into, well, what does proportional relationships mean before the relationship of x and y? So this is where we get into direct variation. If I'm writing notes, I would not write this sentence right here. What I would write is directly proportional is equivalent to something that direct variation. So when something is directly proportional, it is said to vary directly. These are synonymous terms. If something is directly proportional, it is said to vary directly. Some of you are going to be able to look at this and understand what to do immediately. And others of you won't, and that's fine. That's what I'm here for. So if something is directly proportional and it varies directly, I want to know what word is in proportional. Oh, proportion. Maybe I'm going to be doing something with proportions today. Let's look. The value of y varies directly with x. Automatically, varies directly tells me that y and x are proportional. When y equals 5, x equals 20. What is the value of y when x is 10? So we're trying to find a missing variable. And it already tells us a couple of key things. It tells us this is proportional, y and x are proportional. And it tells us when y equals 5, x equals 20. So what I'm doing right now is I'm setting up a proportion. So when y equals 5, x equals 20. And then it asks, what is y when x is 10? So it's asking, well, what is y when x is 10? This should look somewhat familiar. I'm setting up a proportion, and I could put an equal sign in between the two proportions, because if it's proportional, everything, the ratio between y and x should be equal. So if you haven't written this down, I'm going to give you like 1 minute to write this example problem down, because the more examples you have, the better. We set up a proportion between y and x, and now we need to solve this proportion. Does anyone by chance have a clue what you might do from here? No? That's okay.
Multiply across.
Oh, look at you. Yes. So I'm going to cross multiply. I set up a proportion and I need to cross multiply to find that missing variable. Notice when I set up my proportions, if I put y on top, voice crack. If I put y on top on the first proportion, then I need to put that on top on the second proportion. So whatever's on top needs to be the same unit, and whatever's on bottom will need to be the same unit. So I'm going to cross multiply. So 5 times 10. This is telling me what to multiply together. 5 times 10 is 50. 20 times y is 20y. So 50 equals 20y. Hopefully this is kind of ringing some bells. So 50 equals 20y. Well, I need to solve for y. So what would I do from here?
Divide.
Divide. I'm going to divide both sides by 20. Because 20 is multiplied to y, I know I can divide it to get it off of it. So 50 divided by 20 will give me 2.5 equals y. Here's my answer. That's what y equals. This is all we're learning today. So that's it. I mean, we're about to do more examples, but that's all we're learning for today. So basically, setting up a proportion and solving for the missing variable is what we're learning and understanding. Do you have any questions about this particular problem?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
My question is, where does the 4 come from that's above the 10? It's a y.
Y.
Oh, I oopsies. Please put y over 10 because we don't know y. Oh, I get it now. Okay.
Awesome. All right, so let's look at some more examples. So ignore that. This is just me explaining it, so you can go back to this Nearpod and look at the notes. So let's see if you understand. If you feel like you understand, go ahead of me. Let me hide names. You can go ahead of me. If you don't understand, I'm going to explain this very, very slowly again, which is fine. I've only done one example, so not everyone's going to pick up on that. Y varies directly with x. When y equals 12, x equals 56. Well, if it varies directly, that tells me it's proportional. So I can set up a proportion. So when y is 12, x is 56. What is y when x equals 24? So I'm looking for y. I'll make sure it doesn't look like a 4 this time. When x is 24. So when y equals 12, x equals 56. What is y when x is 24? So I set up my proportions. I set them equal to each other because if they're proportional, their proportions should equal. Their ratios should equal. So cross multiply. 12 times 24. You're going to need to use a calculator, so don't just lean on me for the calculations. It's 288. 56 times y. If you already have the answer, go ahead and put your answer into the poll. This 56 times y is 56y. And then from here, I'm needing to solve for y. So I gotta get that 56 off the y. 56 and y are multiplied together, so I would divide both sides by 56. And when I do that, 288 divided by 56 will give me 5.14. So y equals 5.14. Awesome. So please ask a question if you're not understanding. So at this point, everyone who's on the Nearpod, make sure you click and answer because this is how you're going to get credit for the day.
So basically, after you get like all the numbers after you're done multiplying, it turns into the I forgot what type of problem it is, but in between the two numbers.
Cross out the equal sign. What do you mean?
Yeah, where we draw the, I forgot what it was called, but I know that we cross out. Yeah, that. Does it always turn into that when you finish multiplying with the proportion?
Yes. So
Okay.
once you multiply one thing, you set it equal to whatever the other part of the cross multiplication is.
Okay.
Okay, if you did not get it correct, then try to see, let me put it back. Try to see what step you messed up on. Make sure if you put y on top here, y needs to be on top here. X is on bottom and X needs to be on bottom here. I'm trying to give everyone a chance to submit their answer, because if you do not do every single part of this Nearpod, you will not get credit for it. So by now, everyone knows the answer is 5.14. So everyone click 5.14. Going 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay. Example. Okay. So our goal is 100% of us get this right. So the value of y varies directly with x. Again, this, even though I keep saying this over and over again, it's just so you recognize that this means it's proportional. When y equals 75, x equals 0.5. This time I'm going to show you, I'm just going to do it differently so you know there's multiple ways to do this. I'm going to put the x on top this time. So 0.5 over 75 equals, what is the value of y when x is 2.25? Well, I put x on top of the first fraction, so I need to put x on top of the second fraction. And I'm looking for y. Now, y is not always the missing variable. For some reason, I just made all the examples like that, okay? So from here, you need to cross multiply. Your goal is to finish before me, unless you don't understand. All right, so 0.5 times y will be 0.5y. 75 times 2.25 is 168.75. And I need to solve for y, so I need to get rid of this 0.5, so I'll be dividing both sides by 0.5. When I do that, I get 337.5. This is what y. Okay, I hope this is making sense. All right, are there any questions? Okay, so what we're gonna do is we have word problems to look at and then we're done. Oh my gosh, that was fast. So this is just showing me setting up the proportion, cross multiplying, and then solving. Okay. Really quickly, I'm gonna go backwards and I'm gonna make up a problem. What I want you to do is type your answer in the chat. So not this problem, I'm gonna write one on the side. So y and x vary directly, okay? They're proportional. When y equals 15, x equals 3. What is x when y equals 105? So when y equals 15, x equals 3. What is x when y equals 105? I'm gonna give you 2 minutes, and I want you to write your answer in the chat. So try to just private message me, not out to everybody.
No, it won't work. Like, it says the Zoom app won't update, but when I try and update it, it won't update.
One more minute, one more minute. If you're not on Zoom, that's fine. Just write your answer in your journal. I have a couple of different answers going on in the chat right now. So I haven't finished the problem, but I started the problem. Look at your proportion, make sure it's correct, right? If Y is on top here, Y needs to be on top here. If X is on bottom here, X is on bottom here. If you did it the other way and put X on top, that's fine, as long as you keep the same unit on bottom and top. Thirty seconds, get your answer in, get your answer in. All right, so 100% of us did not get it right. So that tells me we still need more practice, which is fine. Okay, but I need everyone's focus, okay? Let me move this thing out. Okay. So I set up my proportion. If you're getting like 500 and something, it's because you set up the proportion incorrectly. So when you're reading the problem, you set up your proportion as you're reading it. When Y equals 15, X equals 3. So I'm gonna put 15 over 3 because those go together. This is like a pair, right? If I was writing an ordered pair, the ordered pair would be 3, 15. These go together. This is the X value, this is the Y. So when Y equals 15, X is 3. So I put 15 over 3. What is X? So we're looking for X. I put X on the bottom of this fraction. 3 was an X value. So I'm putting X on the bottom of this fraction. We don't know X. And then when Y is 105. So I'm looking for which X goes with 105. So do I set up my proportion? Y over X, Y over X. So then I cross multiply. 15 times X gives me 15X. 3 times 105 gives me 315. So 15X equals 315. And then I'm going to divide both sides by 15 because we're trying to solve for X. So when I do that, I get X equals 21. So if you got it right, pat yourself on the back, tell yourself good job. If you did not get it correct, try to figure out where you went wrong, right? We need to learn from this. If you have a question, ask. Obviously there has to be some kind of question if we're not all getting it right, okay? All right. Word problem. Word problem doesn't mean harder, okay? That does not mean, oh, automatically hard, okay? We got word problems. They ain't got nothing on us. Now this problem, the answer is not gonna make sense. I messed up on writing the problem, but we still will get an answer. So the amount of time you drive on the highway varies directly with the amount of gas in your car. If you drive 2 minutes, if I drive 2 minutes, I have 12.5 gallons of gas in my car. Automatically, I'm gonna start writing. Okay, 2 minutes, I'll have 12.5 gallons. How much gas is in your car if you drive an hour and 30 minutes? So I'm looking for how much gas I have. So I'm looking for gallons. So I got to put my unknown in the same spot as my other gallons. How much gas is in your car if you drive an hour and 30 minutes? Before I sit here and write 1 hour and 30 minutes, let me pause. These need to be in the same unit. So if this is in minutes, what should I put on top right here?
Minutes.
90 minutes.
How many minutes?
90.
90 minutes. Awesome. Because an hour and 30 minutes is 90 minutes. So I need to make sure it's in the same unit as well. So this is the same thing. Just because the word problem didn't make it harder, right? I'm setting up a proportion and I'm solving. So I'm going to go ahead and cross multiply. Two times x is 2x. 90 times 12.5. 1,125. Divide both sides by 2. X equals 562.5 gallons. Now that makes absolutely no sense because, right, if I drive longer, why am I having more gallons in my car? So the answer doesn't make sense, but that's just the answer for this problem. Okay, so what's coming up are 2 poll questions. If 100% of us get it right, then I'm done talking so much for the day. And then we have a time to climb, and then I'm done with the nearby. Okay, so make sure if you have a question you're asking. Our goal is 100%. Our goal is 100%. All right, the number of pages that Rosa can write varies directly with the amount of time she spends writing. She can write 4 pages in 1/3 hour. Automatically, I would write 4 pages in 1/3 of an hour. How many pages can Rosa write in 7 hours? So how many pages, question mark, I'm gonna just put a P here. How many pages can she write in 7 hours? I would not change this fraction to a decimal because it's a repeating decimal. I would just use Desmos to multiply the fraction and divide by the fraction. All right, you got this. All right, 30 more seconds. Okay, 10 more seconds. Okay, so we're obviously still confused. So let's look. So it's hard because I can't see your paper right now. I can't see what you're doing, what you're writing. Okay, so she can write 4 pages in 1/3 hour. So for me, I put pages on top and 1/3 of an hour on bottom. How many pages can she write in 7 hours? So I put pages on top and 7 hours on bottom. Okay, I'm not really sure how we're getting this other answer. So then I'm going to cross multiply. Okay, and let's think about our answer as well. If I wrote 4 pages in 1/3 of an hour, how many can I write in 7 hours? Why would I be writing less pages or a very small amount of pages in that amount of time with a big jump in hours? So 4 times 7 will give me 28. 1/3 times P, I'm just using P to represent pages, is 1/3 P. From here, I would be dividing by 1/3. Again, you can just do this in Desmos. 28 divided by 1/3 is the same thing as multiplying by 3. But 28 divided by 1/3 is 84. And I know it's not the exact answer, but it was the closest answer. So 84 would be how many pages I can write in 7 hours. Okay, if someone is bold enough, can you please unmute yourself and tell me like why you got it incorrect? Like what made you confused and why did you get it incorrect? Because I need to figure out where we're getting the misunderstanding from.
I multiplied instead of divided.
Okay, so you did 1/3 times 28?
Yes.
Okay, is that what everyone else did that got 9 as their answer? Okay.
I'm not really sure. I kind of like did a bunch of stuff.
I divided it weird because I can't use decimal.
Why can't you use Desmos?
Because my iPad is charging.
Okay.
Why is it dead? Look, I use it all this thing.
All right, let's look at another one. All right, Judy uses ice to make her snow cones. And these 2 factors vary directly. When there's 4 pounds of ice, she can make 3 snow cones. So when there's 4 pounds of ice, she can make 3 snow cones. How many snow cones can she make if there are 20 pounds of ice? Well, I put 4 pounds on top, so I'm going to put the 20 pounds on top as well. And I don't know how many snow cones. I'm going to just say the missing snow cones is S. You don't have to use X and Y, okay? So I'm going to say my missing snow cones is S. Go ahead and let's see what we get. I don't want y'all to think that's a 5. That's a mess. Maybe I should. All right, this one's looking much better now. So when I cross multiply, that'll be 4x equals 60. Divide both sides by 4. X equals 15. Good job. Much better. If you're not understanding though, and you just clicked whatever you saw everybody else click in, okay, just ask, right? I want your understanding. I don't care about the grade more. I want your understanding. All right, so we're gonna skip this part in the Nearpod. I'm gonna do it next class because I don't feel like doing it now. So we're gonna do this. This part will be a grade. There's 5 questions, both a minute, all 5 a minute and 30 seconds long. What theme do y'all want?
Ocean.
Ocean? All right.
And yes. We did this last year. Yeah, remember it?
Yeah.
That's it.
Let's read it.
Yeah, who cares? Is it a false
Just stop the recording now. And